Hello, hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I want to start today first with a quick little story to introduce this topic. So, as many of you probably know, I've been living in Korea for about 2 years now. And in less than 1 month, I'm going to be moving back to Canada. I've really enjoyed my time here. I've had a wonderful experience, and especially this past year, it feels like I've almost lost track of time. Time has gone by so fast. It's already almost August. It really just feels like I've lost track of time. Notice the phrase that I used there, lost track of time. I'm going to explain that in a little bit. It's going to be part of our lesson today. But first, as always, why don't you introduce yourself if you're already watching? Let me know where you are watching from. Hassani is here watching. Thank you. Hello to you too, Hassani. And yes, I've got a great lesson for you tonight. This is going to be probably easier than most of my lessons, to be honest. So it will be especially great if you are a beginner. It will be good too if you are a little more advanced in English. There will be lots of opportunities for you to practice, lots of opportunities for you to make your own sentences and get feedback from me, hopefully. GoFran is here. Hello, GoFran. Good to see you again. It looks like we have some new names here. Osimar Messias Lima Diaz from Brazil. Hello to you too. And Tootie is here with us. Salut. Hello to you too, Tootie. Tootie Tud. Thank you all for joining me. Let's have a great lesson. Hassani is from France. Really cool. I still love these live lessons because I get to talk to people from all over the world at the same time. It's something that I really enjoy. Yash is here from India. Rodrigo from Brazil. Hello to everyone. Okay, so let's get started. What we are going to do, and Monica from Hungary, thank you for watching. What we are going to do is start by looking at just a few very general uses of the word track. That is going to be the word that we are learning today. It's one of those English words that can be used in many, many, many different ways. So hopefully by the end of this lesson, you will never, ever be confused again whenever you hear the word track. Hopefully you'll know exactly what is meant by whoever is using the word track. Let's start with the most common way that track is used, something that I imagine all of you are familiar with. So we have a track that looks like this. Basically a round, a track like this, it's round and it often is the site of many athletic competitions, okay? And it is a path or a road with a rough surface. That's a general definition. So this is a track. We have many different kinds of tracks. Of course, we have race tracks. I believe this is a picture of a NASCAR racing event. We have horse tracks too. And again, this is the most common general way that the word track is used. We also can use the word track to talk about prints or marks in a surface that are left by humans or animals. I'm curious to know, what kind of tracks are these? Tell me in the comments section if you know. What animal left these tracks if you are familiar with these kind of tracks? Let me know in the comments section. And it looks like there are quite a few people with us today. A lot of new faces here, which is great to see. Hello from Brazil. Yash says, tell me the difference between look, watch, and see. Yash, I will tell you that a different time. Today we are talking about the word track, but someone else requested that topic, so I think I'm going to do that topic soon. Many English language learners get confused by it, and it can be quite confusing, so don't worry if you are a little confused. The good news is, too, English speakers, native English speakers, will generally know what you're trying to say, even if you make a mistake and use the wrong word there. So does anyone know what kind of tracks are these? What kind of tracks? We have Gofran guessing a sheep, Satawat guessing a cow. Okay, good to see you, Satawat. Thanks for watching. They are actually deer tracks. Deer tracks, okay? So these are tracks made by deers, and yeah, we can use the word tracks to refer to marks like these made by people or by animals. Bear tracks, deer tracks, etc. Now, we also can say railroad tracks, okay? So if we're talking about a railway, these are tracks, railroad tracks. Now, another way that we use this word, one in which you might not be too familiar, is we actually use it to talk about a recording of a song. So a song that is recorded, a recorded song, is a track. For example, have you heard the new Jay-Z track? It's amazing. I think Jay-Z just released an album recently. I haven't listened to any of the tracks on that album. So as you can see already, many different ways in which we can use this word, track. As a verb, and the first question I have for you is coming up here, so pay attention. As a verb, track means to follow someone or something in order to find them or their location. So one context in which we often use track as a verb is to track a flight. So if you are waiting for your best friend to arrive in your city, for example, and you want to know where his flight is, how much longer he has before he arrives, you can track his flight. This was taken from a website. You can see on the bottom right there is a button that says track flight. And it means to find out information about where that airplane is. We also use it to talk about tracking the progress of something or keeping information about the progress of something. So for example, many people track how many calories they eat every day. Many people track how much money they spend on different things every day. They track what they're doing. My first question for you is, what is something that you're tracking right now in your life? What is something that you are tracking right now? Me, personally, I am tracking how many followers I get on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm tracking how many new email subscribers I get every day. So that's something that I am tracking right now. Tell me about something that you are tracking. Many people, another example, track how much weight they're either losing or gaining. Okay? Tell me about something that you are tracking. Sardor says, hello teacher, I'm finally in your live lesson. It is the first time. Well, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here. Good. Yash is saying soundtrack, railway track. Great. So soundtrack, again, the soundtrack is a recording of a song, a musical recording. And a railway track, right, we're talking about railroads, railways. So very different ways that we use this word. Jean is asking footprint. Yes, Jean, in that previous example, you could also say footprint. A print and a track are quite similar in that sense. So you're right. Monica, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. Maybe you could try again. Tell me what you mean by that. Hassani says, I want to ask, how can we improve our professional English? We don't have anybody around to practice. If by professional English, you're talking about like business English, English that you would use in a more formal situation, Hassani, sometimes I talk about formal things or business English on this channel. It's more incidentally when I do. But there's a great channel that you can look up, English with a Twist. I wrote a guest post on that blog one time. And she focuses all on business English. So I'd recommend checking out English with a Twist. Okay? Let's see. I'm tracking my emails, says Monica. Perfect. Okay, I'm tracking my emails. Nadu is here. I miss you. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nadu. Alan Parker, I'm tracking information about Samsung's upcoming new flagship called the Note 8. Yes, Alan, I saw information about that too. So you're tracking information about that. Great. Satawat is using a phrase that we're going to look at in a second. I always keep track my packages whenever I order products from Amazon. So Satawat, we're actually going to look at that phrase, keep track, in about 5 minutes here. I will come back to that example and correct it then. Okay? Sam is here. Hello. You've been tracking my lessons for months. That's great. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you're finding them valuable. Let's keep going now. Let's move into some of the more idiomatic expressions, okay? Satawat just used one. We're going to look at that in a second. First, I want to talk about the phrase on the right track. This means to be progressing in a way that is likely to succeed. So let's imagine that you have a goal, okay? Could be anything. Just think of a goal that you have in your life. Now, there are certain things that you have to do to get to that goal, to achieve that goal. If you are doing the right things, if you're doing the necessary things that will lead you to that goal, you could say that you are on the right track. That's what that means, that you're on the right track. So here are some example sentences. Sometimes it's hard to know if you're on the right track in life. This is very true. I think that probably everyone would agree with me. Sometimes it's hard to know if you're on the right track in life. We're using this phrase very generally here. We're talking about life in general, right? All of us have different ideas of what we want out of life, what we want to do in our life, and sometimes it's very hard to know if you're on the right track to live the life that you want to live. We have to make very difficult decisions in life. Sometimes it's not always clear what decision will lead us to the right path. What decision will take us down the right track? The next sentence, they were fighting a lot last month. So imagine a couple here. They were fighting a lot last month, but now it seems like their relationship is on the right track. So again, it seems like their relationship is on the right track. They want to have a good relationship. That's their goal, a healthy relationship. They were fighting a lot before, but now they are on the right track again. Most often, you will see this phrase used to end a sentence. You can use it with different prepositions and in different ways, like I did in the first example, but almost always, very often, you will see it to end a sentence. You'll see this phrase at the end of a sentence. This was taken from the news, this headline here. This is a headline that was taken from the website Business Insider, and it comes from an article that was released recently. 4 questions to ask yourself to figure out if your career is on the right track. So we all have our careers, we all have our jobs, things that we're doing. This article is about things that you can ask yourself to figure out. Figure out just means to understand if your career is on the right track, if you're doing what you want to do with your career, basically. So I thought it would be interesting to answer this question, or ask some questions, rather. What questions could you ask yourself to figure out if your career is on the right track? So I want you to think of what you are doing right now, and what could you ask yourself to see if you're on the right track in your career, if you're on the right track to meet your professional goals. One thing, for example, that you could ask is, am I excited about my career? Does my career make me excited? When I wake up in the morning and I have to go to work, am I excited or am I miserable? If you are miserable, well, maybe you're not on the right track. If you're still really excited, maybe you are on the right track. I think it's more complicated than that, personally, but that's one question that might help you understand if you're on the right track. Okay? Kaney says, I'd love to be a translator and I think I'm on the right track. I think you're on the right track too with that perfect English sentence. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the sentence. Monica says, I would like to be proud of my English and I hope I am on the right track. Great. These are great sentences. Perfect. It looks like Monica and Kaney, you're both on the right track. Great. Girlfriend, we say on the right way, in the right way. We're talking about something different there, girlfriend. On the right way, in the right way. Am I singing in the right way? On the right way. I think what you are referring to more often would use in the right way, I think. Okay? We have someone watching us from Japan here. Hello to you too. Girlfriend, perhaps you could give me a sentence, a longer sentence with what you mean. I'm still a little confused. Okay, let's keep going. We have some people who are tracking new words on YouTube every day. Vicheka, that's great. I think you're probably talking about learning new English words on YouTube every day. That might be a more natural way to phrase that. I am tracking the announcements of my exam results, says girlfriend. You could say a more natural way to say that, I am waiting for the announcement of my exam results. I'm waiting for my exam results. Okay? I'm definitely sure, Vicheka says, that my job is on the right track. That's great. That's good for you. I'm happy to hear that. I'm tracking how much I have to spend every day. Thanks for answering my question. Okay, well, great, Hassani. You're welcome, and great sentence there. Thank you. I always ask myself why I can never get a beautiful girlfriend. I think I'm not on the right track. Well, you're on the right track with that sentence, Alan, so that's a good thing. As far as girlfriend troubles go, I don't really know what to tell you there, but I wish you the best of luck. That's a tough one. It's tough to many of us have a hard time in the relationship area of life. Even when people are in relationships, it's hard to know if you're on the right track in that relationship too. So if it's any consolation, lots of people struggle in that area. Again, this is turning into a show about relationships and philosophy, so that's always nice. Oh, we have a very nice sentence from Tootie. When I am watching you to learn English, I know that I'm on the right track. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Let's keep going. This is what Satawat mentioned earlier. He used the phrase keep track. So here's a great idiom, keep track. To keep track of something is to know what is happening or what has happened to someone or something. So for example, she has a new boyfriend every week. It's hard to keep track. Imagine a girl who really likes to date many different men. You could say it's hard to keep track of her boyfriends, okay? And most often, almost always, you will see keep track used with the preposition of. So keep track of something or someone. It's hard to keep track of all my emails. It's hard to stay informed about all of my emails, to be aware of all of my emails. It's hard to follow what is happening. So we have a headline from the news. How can I keep track of my money? How can I keep track of my money? We spend money on many different things in life, especially with credit cards now and how easy it is to sign up for a subscription. Sometimes it can be difficult to keep track of what we are spending money on. So here's a question for you. What is something that is difficult to keep track of? What is something that is difficult to keep track of? For me, I don't know why, but throughout my life, it's been very difficult to keep track of my socks. I never know where my socks are. They always seem to get lost. Even if I buy a new package of socks, within about 2 weeks, many of them are lost. So I have a very difficult time keeping track of my socks. There's a funny fact about me. But I think many people do as well. Okay, here we go. We have some more sentences. Sam says, I believe I'm on the right track because whenever I study, I am caught in interested. Okay, very great sentence. That last part sounds a little awkward. We wouldn't really say we're caught in interested. You can use the phrasal verb caught up. To be caught up in something means to be really absorbed in that thing. So you can say, I'm really caught up in the material. I get really caught up in the material. Or, I believe I'm on the right track because whenever I study, how could we phrase that? I believe I'm on the right track because whenever I study, here's a really advanced way, but a very natural way that you could phrase that. I believe I'm on the right track because whenever I study, I am completely absorbed in the material. Okay, there's a nice advanced sentence for you, Sam. Hassani says, I'm confident that I am on the right track about my career. Perfect. Tell me about something that is difficult to keep track of. And Hassani, I'm happy for you that you feel you're on the right track regarding your career. Rodrigo says it's always difficult to keep track of my chores. All right, let's keep going. Alan is saying, it's always, for me, keep track of time so difficult, and I don't know, it's precious after losing it or to waste it. Good, so it's difficult to keep track of time. We're going to talk about that in a second, Alan. We're going to use a different phrase here. I'm sorry if this stream is cutting out. I seem to be having some internet problems. Hopefully it's not so bad, but let's keep going. Next, lose track. So you can think of lose track as the opposite of keep track. To lose track is to no longer know where someone or something is or what is happening. For example, I was late for class because I lost track of time. So remember when I started this lesson, I was talking about losing track of time. This is a very common idiom that we use. I lost track of time. It means usually we use this idiom when we are so absorbed in the moment, when we are so present in the moment with whatever we are doing that we don't pay attention to time. Time just kind of flies by us. We lose track of time. Here's a second sentence. I lost track of my friends as soon as we got to the bar. I lost track of my friends as soon as we got to the bar. As soon as is a conjunction, and it means that one thing happens immediately after something else happens. So as soon as I got to the bar, I lost track of my friends. Maybe the bar was very busy, there were lots of people there, it was very noisy, it was hard to keep track of my friends, of where my friends were. So I lost track of my friends. What is something that you never lose track of? Why don't you tell me that? What is something that you never lose track of? Sam says, it's difficult for me to keep track of my Facebook notifications. Perfect sentence, Sam. It's difficult for me too to do that, especially recently on Facebook. I've been getting many and many, so it's quite difficult to keep track of Facebook notifications. So Alan, always for you to keep track of time, so difficult, and I don't know, it's precious after losing it or wasting it. So that's a very complicated sentence. You have a lot of different ideas. Again, simplify, simplify. I'm going to try and rephrase that. It's difficult for me to keep track of time, and I know time is precious. So I fear that I'm wasting it. Maybe I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say there. But try and tell me, what is something that you never lose track of? 2D never loses track of where her phone is. Perfect. Well, that's very good for you. I know many people who have the opposite problem, who struggle with that problem, who always lose track of where their phone is. I personally never lose track of where my wallet is. I usually know where my phone is too. Sometimes it falls under my bed or something and I can't find it, or I leave it somewhere, but my wallet, I never lose track of. I lost track of love. Okay, that's an interesting sentence, girlfriend. We never really use lose track to talk about love that way. But that's not to say that it's wrong. It actually sounds a little poetic to me, and I'm curious to know more what you mean by that. So that's an interesting sentence. Alan says, we lose track of happiness. We have some more poetic sentences tonight. This is nice. We lose track of happiness when, instead of loving and living for us, we losing track of time living others. Okay, I think what you're trying to say is we lose track of happiness when we try to live for other people instead of ourselves. I think that's what you're trying to say. I never lose track of my guitar classes and lessons. Sam, I think it would be more natural to say I never lose track of when I have guitar lessons and classes, or I never lose track of when my guitar lessons are. I never lose track of my guitar lessons. It sounds a little strange to me for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it would be more natural to say I never lose track of when my guitar lessons are. Okay. We have another sentence. I have never lost track of love for the movie Star. I have never lost track. It would be more natural there to say I've never lost my love for the movie Star. So think of love as something that you have there. You've never lost it. You have it always. Hassani says, it's difficult to keep track of my brothers when I'm not around them. Great sentence there. It's difficult to keep track of my brothers when I'm not around them. Great. GoFriend says you lose track of time when you travel from Japan to the US, we would say, to the United States. And yes, when you're traveling in general, it's quite easy to lose track of time. Let's continue on to our last phrase of the night using track. As you can see, we've already spent 30 minutes talking about one single word in English. So if this is any indication, there are many different things that you can do with a single English word often, okay? So let's keep going. Track down is the last phrase that I wanted to talk about with you. Track down means to find someone or information about someone after a long search. So, I was finally able to track down her address. The police tracked down the killer and arrested him. In the first example, I was finally able to track down her address. what am I tracking down? What am I finding information about? Her address. So imagine you're searching for this woman, you're searching for her address. After a long search, you find that information. You could say, I tracked her down. I was finally able to track down her address. You could say I tracked her down, or I tracked down her address if you want to be more specific about the type of information that you gathered. The last sentence, the police tracked down the killer and arrested him. So you'll often hear track down being used in the context of crime. The police tracked down the killer and arrested him. They were looking for a killer, someone who murdered someone else, and they found him after a long search. They tracked him down. The police tracked down the killer. That is what the job of a policeman is, to track down killers and criminals in general. Let's move on to the last challenge I have for you today before I sign off. I want you to look at this picture, and I want you to tell me, why is the man upset? You can use any of the phrases we learned today. You can use track, the word track alone by itself. I want you to just experiment here, to use your own, to be creative, to come up with your own English sentence. And yeah, look at this picture. Tell me what you think. Why is the man upset? Okay, we have some more sentences here. I never lose track of Jacob Teacher's YouTube channel news, says Rodrigo. That's great. If you're new here, by the way, and you haven't subscribed yet, and you don't want to lose track of my YouTube channel, that's a great way to do it. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you, Rodrigo, for the great sentence. And you would say, I never lose track of Jacob Teacher's YouTube channel news, you could say. I never lose track. Or if you want to talk about the past, I've never lost track. I have never lost track of Jacob Teacher's YouTube channel news. I never, Satawat says, I never lose track of your lessons, but once a week is not enough. Satawat is giving me some attitude there. Yes, I agree. I'd like to be here more. Unfortunately, it's a crazy time in my life right now. I'm going to be moving back to Canada in about, well, less than a month now. So that is why I've taken a little bit of a break on YouTube. But once I'm back in Canada, well, a lot of things are going to happen with this YouTube channel, with another club that I'm developing right now, as some of you know. I'll talk a lot more about that in the coming weeks, but that is why my YouTube channel is, well, it's only once a week now that I do these live lessons. So I'd like to be on here more, I agree, but that will happen soon. Once I move back to Canada and once I'm able to relax a little, well, not relax, that's the wrong word, but once at least my living situation is a little less hectic and crazy. So let's look at what else we have here. Hassani says, I lost track of my friends when I left Mayotte to France. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but you lost track of your friends. I don't know if you're talking about the man here or yourself personally. Maybe this man lost track of his friends. It seems like you're talking about yourself personally, though, and that's a great sentence. Okay, GoFriend says his wife tracked down his fortune and stole it. Okay, so maybe he's on the phone with his lawyer or his financial planner, and he is realizing that he has no money because his wife tracked down his fortune and took everything. Great sentence. That's a very creative one, GoFriend. Thank you for that. Alan says he lost his eyeglasses or contacts and he is tracking down, but because his eyesight is not true. Okay, that's a great joke too, Alan. So this man lost his glasses. He's trying to track down his glasses. He's trying to find his glasses, but he can't see, obviously, because he doesn't have his glasses. So he's very frustrated. He's upset. Great sentence, Alan. Very creative there. I like that. Sam, I think he would have tracked down some terrible news. Okay, Sam, we wouldn't really say, like, when you say it like that, it seems like he was searching for terrible news, which actually in today's world doesn't sound so crazy. Many of us, I think, on Facebook kind of unconsciously search or consciously search for bad news, but it sounds a little awkward the way you phrased it here. He tracked down bad news. More naturally, you would say he heard some bad news. He heard some terrible news. He just heard some terrible news. Alan says, I think his wife or girlfriend called him and she said, I'm in love with Alan and sorry if I'm leaving you because Alan is awesome. So, this man's wife called him and she said that she is in love with Alan and that she's leaving him for Alan. So, well, there go your girl problems, Alan. It seems like you have everything figured out now. So, congratulations. And thanks for the sentence again, as always. Kenny says, Kenny, he is calling and he is tracked down bad news. Okay, again, we wouldn't really say tracked down bad news. To track down means to actively search for something, right? If we're trying to track down a criminal, we're actively searching for that criminal. And when we track that criminal down, it's after a long search, okay? So it's not something passive. It's very active, track down. Okay? Thank you all so much for watching. That is all the time that I have for you today. If you haven't already subscribed to YouTube, make sure to do that. If you enjoyed this video, if you like my work, it would help me, of course, if you gave me a nice big thumbs up. And other than that, I will see you again next Tuesday. I also do more stuff on Facebook. That's where I spend a lot of my time too. So make sure to follow me on Facebook. The weekly video newsletter will be uploaded to this YouTube channel tomorrow. So that is all the time and all of the information that I have for you today. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, and a great evening wherever you are in the world. Take care. Bye-bye.